I heard this question the other day I was watching somebody else's live broadcast. And the question posed was, can women lead? So she wanted this man to answer specifically. And honestly, like this other girl was trying to answer her. She didn't want that girl to answer her, and they kept going back and forth and interrupting each other. But she wanted one specific guy to answer. I exited the live because it was, because all I could think of, I'm like, y'all women are actually embarrassing us. Like, stop speaking over each other, have a mature conversation, and figure it out. Anyways, so that was my first thought.
So real.
That was my first thought. So then I exited. And I started asking myself, I'm like, from a biblical standpoint, can women lead? We live in modern times, right? We have to also apply that. And so...
Need to wet my whistle.
Oh, I want some too. And so, yeah, I started asking myself that question. Can women lead? And I look at the world, I'm like, obviously, yes, women can lead. Especially when they have to lead, right? We're not just gonna keel over and die if no one's leading us. Like, we would figure it out. But then it got me thinking, I think she is actually asking the wrong question. She's asking, can women lead? Yes, but should women lead? And so that started unraveling an entire conversation on our walk earlier, and we're like, we just gotta talk about it. Okay, let's fucking talk about it.
Is that what we were like?
That's what we were like. We were like pumped up.
This is where memories differ on this part.
We were ready to go.
I don't recall
We
that.
were taken off in the conversation. Okay, so
The conversation did get good fast.
it went fast, like rocket fast.
Just, yeah.
Like Bitcoin fast.
All right. Get to it.
All right.
Get to it. Welcome to Happy Relationship Podcast, by the way. We forgot to even start with that.
We didn't even intro. Who am I? I'm Donna.
Who are you?
Who are you?
I'm Dylan.
And this is Happy Relationship. Welcome. What the fuck was I saying?
Something about women leading.
Oh yeah, so should they lead? Okay.
And then that opened up the conversation.
Mm-hmm. So we were talking about from a hormone standpoint, we're like, okay, it requires them to be, it requires us to really be, oh my God, I can't stop burping.
In your masculine.
Yeah.
And which is then producing testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
And so when asking the question, should women lead from a health standpoint?
From a biological standpoint.
Yeah. The answer is no.
Yeah. But then.
Health-wise.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, health. Yeah.
And health and relationships.
Yeah.
Obviously, because that's where it impacts the most.
Mm-hmm. So with hormones, typically females, we produce more estrogen, and we should be producing more estrogen than we do testosterone to keep our hormones in a healthy balance, like a good check. Our stress levels, our cortisol is actually raised when we are producing too much testosterone, because it causes that unnatural imbalance. Like, we're supposed to have more estrogen that we operate out of. Opposite for men, right? When men are too far into their estrogen, they actually tend to become more stressed out as well. Their cortisol cortisol levels rise.
Yeah, and they can't handle their emotions nearly as much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the fuse gets a lot shorter, basically. So they have to get back into their testosterone, do testosterone producing activities to balance themselves back out. So all of those hormones are stimulated. So all of those hormones are stimulated through the activities that we do on a day-to-day.
Yeah.
And if we're exerting our confidence, if we're moving forward, taking action, aka boss babes, right?
Yep.
Then we're deep in our fucking masculine. And we're
or single moms, or
single moms.
Anybody who's serving others
right.
constantly and is not having time for themselves.
Yeah, yeah. So it causes them to be stressed out. I don't know, but I also think about like, okay, Layla Hermosi, is she stressed out?
So she has to be with a man that is much more masculine than her. So that as soon as she's with him, she immediately steps into her feminine.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I bet Alex Hermosi does that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm saying it more
how
as
that
like
works.
that's a joke because it's obvious that that's what it is.
Yeah, Alex Rose's definitely.
Dude's got fucking no neck.
Yeah, his biceps got biceps. Yeah.
Biceps in business.
That's and he's insanely grounded.
Yeah.
Disciplined. Like yeah, honestly, Hormozzi's a really good
example.
Like modern day masculine
couple, yeah.
man.
Yeah. I would say so.
Especially with like the wisdom, intelligence, his
I'm
philosophies
curious
and
his
stuff.
spirituality. I haven't heard him talk too much on spirituality.
Yeah, I think obviously, almost in a way, I wouldn't say that he's. I guess I don't know as far as emotionally and like his vulnerability, like in relationship.
Yeah.
And whatnot,
curious.
but I could see him being able to hold space and gain understanding and and not interrupt and kind of learn very quickly that interrupting and trying to offer the solution isn't the way. So I don't know. I'm curious to see with that, to develop that opinion more.
I'm sure there are though, like to some degree.
Yeah.
You don't make it that far in business without having any spiritual backing.
Yeah. And regardless though, I'm sure like she's definitely more in her masculine than she is in her feminine. But when she is in her feminine, it's like she freely shifts.
She fulfilled
At some
her
level,
cup
maybe.
gets filled again.
I'd be curious. I mean, I'm sure it takes a lot of effort from her potentially. Who knows? But
Maybe not with him specifically because she immediately knows how to drop down.
yeah. And at the level of security and trust financially, all those things, there's a different level of peace that you can have to shift and know that things are taken care of.
Right.
So it's not even necessarily a matter of like him producing, he produces.
Yeah. And you also have to like take into account each individual's capacity, right? Like I might be balanced with a little bit more testosterone than most women.
Yeah.
And that's okay, right? Nobody knows their own recipe, but that's where it's like
it's not
awareness is so
exact
important.
numbers.
Literally, you just have to get fucking aware. Like everything gets better when you actually learn how to be present, in tune with your body, in tune with your emotions, know how to express and communicate them, like
Actually understanding.
awareness and understanding
Yeah, but actually.
and compassion. Sorry.
Anything else? Anything else? Can I add to the list here? Also, like I think as soon as you truly understand the masculine and feminine and what, like really have awareness around it and understanding of what behaviors shift you and produce the specific hormones,
Yeah.
it's so much easier to like condense the amount of time between starting to struggle and actually being able to be like, oh, I'm too far this side. I don't want to be here. I know what to do to get myself back over. And sometimes it takes a little while. Sometimes it can be very short.
Yeah.
And over time, if you can condense that time, like that's where freedom actually exists.
Yeah.
For you to be able to shift between your masculine and feminine.
Yeah. And I think I'm pretty darn balanced, but lately I have pushed myself a little further into my masculine. But the good news is that I know how to communicate it. And I'm getting better at it.
And I know how to support you
Right.
in getting back to it. And sometimes I even will recognize that action needs to be taken sooner than you do. And then I
And
point
so
you
that's
into,
the beauty of that relationship,
Yeah.
because there are times where like
that's
if
so good.
if he's not super busy and he can actually pay attention to what I'm doing, he'll like, if he notices that I'm deep in my masculine because I've been working all day, he'll like actually just pick up things around the house, like because he knows that that's like the last thing I want to do. And that, when you do that, I don't express it enough. I fucking love, like that is part of my love language. Doing this stuff like around the house or like foot rubs or like back scratches, that stuff, like it all is non-sexual.
Yeah.
And that's what gets me sexual.
And
You
that,
know?
folks, is very real.
It is so
'Cause
fucking, okay.
That's actually, that is such a,
It is the truth.
I've actually conceptualized this of like the certain things when it comes like to coming in the house to like, if I feel like I want to connect with you in that way and have sex and I also am like present,
Yeah.
then I will start to do the things around the house and like
Yeah. So
in
that,
a way of,
yeah. And that's okay. That's
sexually
just
preparing.
that's just
both of
what
those.
people do, right? That's okay. I
Yeah.
don't think that's manipulative. I think that's fucking
That's not the only time that I do it, but
Yeah.
I've realized that it works really well.
Of course.
Like a lot of times, it was even unintentionally happening where I would do those things,
Yeah.
and that night we would end up having incredible sex, and I'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, like you did this, this, and this. That's like that leads to like her feeling in your feminine, relaxed. So
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, either way, whatever purpose you did that for, you're still helping each other.
Oh yeah,
Like at the end of the day,
that's
And
relationship skills.
Yeah, exactly. And
That's
that
what
is the beauty
fulfills
of
her
the
and makes her happy.
relationship. Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what it is. That's the worst.
Anyways,
Sorry.
back to what the fuck we were talking about, which was about masculine and feminine energy, basically, and women in leadership, and if that's a thing. So yeah, basically,
Yeah, we got far off, huh?
yeah, we went fucking far.
That's good.
Extraterrestrial type shit.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Back to should women lead?
Okay, so yeah, then it became the question, should they? And I honestly think they shouldn't. If it was based off of solely biological things and it was obviously a preference, right?
Yeah.
Then no, I don't think they should.
Well, that's where we talked about it being situational. So
Right,
if a woman is a single mother with children, she has to lead.
If she's
she
the
has
main,
to be
or
in that position.
if she's just the main provider.
Yeah. Which then opened up the conversation around a couple that's complete opposite of what we're kind of speaking on, where he's a stay-at-home dad and she's the provider.
Yeah. And that part I'm really curious about too, because I'm curious about the fulfillment of the relationship as this current dynamic. Like, is there sexual satisfaction? Are they fulfilled elsewhere? Or like what happens when new people enter the life and you're lacking something?
When it comes to understanding how attraction works, then there's a question of like, can the attraction be maintained with that dynamic? Then it became about respect. Being able to maintain respect for your man when you're the one that is providing.
If you're a woman and forced kind of into your masculine energy, does that leave much room to respect your
Position in the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, like if he were to put his foot down for something, and like, would she actually
Respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And subside to it, you know?
Yeah.
Or is it more like, I've been running the shit, so
I'm in control,
Yeah.
not you.
yeah, so that's a joke.
'Cause
so then
that's
that
all the
also
power.
takes away the power for him, because
Yep.
it's like, oh, well, I'm because she's right. Like, I have nothing to fight with. I have nothing to hold my argument true. And then you just feel disempowered. And that's where the whole demasculating the man, that's what that is.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not saying that that's happening in our friend's case, but I'm just
Or
saying.
intentionally, but maybe, because then
Yeah.
there's insecurities that come at play, because then it kind of evolved in the conversation of like, okay, well, what if he were to get a job?
Yeah.
And at that point, now she just has been in her masculine for so long that they're both in their masculine, and then there's no sexual satisfaction in the relationship, and that's where people go and cheat.
Yeah. And then we started talking about it makes it sound like we just gossip all day. So we do.
No,
but it's more we're doing it more because we're
discussing concepts.
Yeah, we're talking about concepts
Yeah,
and
this
using
is literally what we do. We
examples.
have to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
it is the best way that we can have these conversations to understand it more.
yeah, we'd have to
And
make
so-
this shit up in our head first
Yeah.
to draw out the concepts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about, okay, we have a friend where it's like, we're not sure if there is that level of respect, because she doesn't speak to him with respect, and he also doesn't protect her with respect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because we were talking about how she kind of just puts herself out there. She's a little bit more provocative online and things like that. And then we started talking about how you would feel if I was, putting myself out there.
Yeah. How women do photo shoots where they're in lingerie or, nearly naked, whatever. And the reason they say they do this and then they post it is they say that it's for me. Mm-hmm. And I think that's true, but it's because there's unsatisfaction in like them feeling wanted, desired, and secure in their relationship.
And then I was also saying, or it is, why would I want to commit myself to you, right? Like when you're first starting to date, there's something about keeping yourself safe, right? If that one doesn't work out, to dress in that way or like present yourself as still part of the market. Yeah, still available.
Keep yourself a valuable place in the market.
Right, where there's tons of men in your DMs.
Why is the man okay with it?
You are protectors. When you cherish something, you don't want them to be objectified. You don't want them to be looked at as like somebody that people can use. I think like the reason why, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you wouldn't want me to be putting myself out there is because you don't want me to be in that vulnerable position. Like there's something about it that you feel you need to protect. Or is it a jealousy thing?
No, so I think it absolutely can be a jealousy thing for some men, for sure. And more so, especially if they're like, really don't want you to show anything, right? And like they're like very uptight about it.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to the extent of posting in lingerie, almost nude, all that, to me, I think that shows that you don't have respect for yourself.
But then it makes me wonder, like, okay, then there's the argument of I shouldn't be bothered by how I present myself or something. Like I should be content enough to present the things that I want to present just for me. I think I resonated with that at some point.
It's like a part of this like sacred union. And like your body to me is sacred, and if it's something that is just
everybody gets
shown to so many people, then it takes away the like how special it is. It's not rare.
That's true.
It's not. You could see it anywhere and forever.
Or is it like an insecurity feeling too? So then it goes back to, is it a jealousy thing?
Insecurity of what?
More like a jealousy thing, like losing that your person you love to someone else.
No, because I think that if that happens, you're not for me. If you putting yourself out there leads to somehow you with another man, then that shows it wasn't from a healthy place, and you're free to go.
There's your ticket. Stamp.
Take care. But I think there is just like also a side of it of respect from other men. When I see a man
with that, for sure,
who's with a woman and she is putting herself out there like that, I lose respect for him.
And it's weird because the opposite has the same effect, right? Like a positive effect. When you see a man who has a presentable woman who presents herself as a, calm, like graceful woman, it also gives the man more credit, validation. It's like when a woman brings a meal down to him, every guy is like envious, right? Because they're like that. Time. Yeah, they're like, that is what I fucking want. Like I want a woman to bring me a meal down, and and that stimulates your guys' ego, which is in a good way though, and it boosts it will
boost testosterone.
Yeah, like because you're in the room, you're like, I'm top dog.
And anytime you do that, I immediately just I feel like a surge of testosterone and attraction to you.
And it's interesting because I enjoy doing it. Like when I have the chance, I love if he has business partners over, clients, whatever. I would love, like, if I'm allowed to step in and drop him a meal, and if I could cook them both meals. That I love that. Like I feel like I've never wanted to do that for really, but only the people I love. I want to do that.
I think there's a pride in being able to feed another man, like like your wife feeding you and another man as well. Like it feels even better. It's like
because it's honestly, that the pride of like almost like caretaking or providing in its own way.
But like giving and just like nurturing. It's like more nurturing to a relationship in a way. It feels like, which I think is just really cool. And I think right now, just because the whole like exploring the Bible, like every time a stranger comes to the door and they are both in service of the Lord, right? Reading Genesis here, they immediately feed them. They immediately ask their wife to make them a meal, and then they feed them, and they have their conversation and their deals like that. And I think that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, in the Japanese culture, I believe it's Japanese or is it Chinese culture, they are not allowed to speak business until they share their meal together. And I think
I like that.
I think it's a great practice.
Japanese are savage businessmen, so.
Fucking, yeah.
I was shaking my head already, just waiting to see what was going to come out of your mouth, and you stopped yourself. That's hilarious.
I am contained. Okay. So,
right.
okay. I want to get back to that conversation about respect, though, because it's so
Oh, yes.
crazy.
Hello. How are you doing? That felt good. That's like when after a long day and we like hold hands for a second.
It feels so good.
Yeah, it's just like this surge, like. Anyways.
Stop it.
Yeah, you might have to stop looking at me.
Stop. Look, I know. I can't face you. I look back at the camera.
Let me pause this real quick.
Beep. Okay. Anyways, we were talking about respect and like how much can a woman respect herself if she's putting herself out there like that?
Yes.
And is it for attention only?
Even though it might be buried through all the other things, like because
Right.
they're telling the story that it's for me,
Right.
It is for you for sure.
Yeah.
But why, right?
Yeah.
And that's just usually like where it stops. They're not asked why, or maybe even haven't even asked themselves
Yeah.
why.
Yeah,
And
but
there's
if
a lot of
you-
layers to it.
Yeah. But so I've just played out like 3 different routes in my head. I'm like, okay, well, what if this and this and this and this? And then I'm like, oh, it all goes down to attention, right? Yeah. So like, yes, okay, maybe you're not sexually fulfilled in your relationship. So you're like, okay, let me just put myself out there and, seek that attention that way, right? Or even if you don't want to commit to somebody, right? At the end of the day, I'm still seeking attention to keep my DMs and inbox full.
Yep.
Just in case I don't want to commit, right?
And
so then attention.
Yep. And then if a man is okay with that, he also is not. I don't believe he's that committed to the relationship.
Yep. That's what it is. It's not committed to it.
Yep. And that's where. Stop. I can't stand that. I cannot stand when somebody snaps.
It's so great.
I don't know why. Why is that?
You probably got abused as a kid.
Gosh.
Oh my God.
That's hilarious.
Why am I saying this? Jesus.
All right, folks.
Oh.
We just lost a few members.
I'd like to think people will stay because of that. I don't know.
My dad whooped my ass, so I can say it, right?
Oh my God.
This has now
That's
become
fucking
stand-up comedy as well. Oh.
That's fucking hilarious. Oh, that's great. I'm about to shed a tear.
All right, where were we? Okay, so then it goes to commitment.
Yep.
And that's obviously on one end, because if she is putting herself out there, she's looking for the exit, or she at least knows where it is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, is aware of it.
Yeah, she knows where the exit is.
Yeah, because you know what? It's so weird. It is when I'm in a relationship that I care about, that I don't want to disrespect you and I want to bring honor to our relationship, I don't want to put myself out there at all.
Yeah.
Like even me, like I'm questioning some of my crop tops and things like that because I don't want to show skin that's not for you, because I reserve it. I respect it as our commitment.
Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, when I'm not committed though, I never cared, right? Because I'm just like, well.
Yeah. And that was interesting to navigate in the beginning of our relationship. Because I think that, very quickly we both committed, but
But there needed to be time for me. Like we could have the verbal commitment, but you got to understand, girls who have been in relationships or had several boyfriends or whatever, it's like they leave. And you could be with somebody for however long and all of a sudden they cheat or something.
Literally marry you.
Yeah, and then fucking cheat.
Yeah.
And so women have been this is why I was asking earlier. I'm like, do most women have a trust issue when it comes to men? And it's probably because we've been let down by men. This is why we're angry. This is why we swayed to the boss babe culture as well, because men also couldn't stay committed, and it's unfortunate. The lack of commitment.
Yeah.
And I think that that's true. It's like you put yourself out there when you're not fully committed, and then he allows it because it's not full respect.
Yeah.
Or she doesn't give it to him.
And at the end of the day, I still think that the majority of it is always the man's fault because of a failure of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
To an extent, right? There's so many scenarios where that's not the case.
Right.
Right? And there's very much this toxicity from the beginning. And if that's the case, right, where like things become so much so fast and there's a trauma bond or whatever it is that's binding them together that fast, and then I think at that point it's kind of already doomed. And so it's not necessarily like leadership wasn't even an option.
Yeah.
In that, because the men that allow that are also very much quickly attached. And so they are typically in their feminine and are very emotionally driven. So instead of taking it slow and like even halting it, they'll want to and know that it's like the right thing to do, but they'll just let it happen, and they'll like continue to. Those are also a lot of times the same people that are people pleasers as well.
Okay, so what do you say about, what if they got pregnant?
Whether
he's like in
he
his
should absolutely
feminine
step into a leadership role.
Okay, and so what if that does help him step into it by taking by ownership of that,
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's what I'm trying to understand, because it's also like,
So ask the question again with that in mind.
well, because you were saying like when he maybe he's a guy that attaches too quickly and is also a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, what if he didn't attach himself too quickly, and then ended up just getting pregnant? So then how does that fall into... I feel like I'm explaining this wrong, or it's not?
No, I was just waiting for you to finish.
Oh, okay. I'm done.
I don't know. Are you done? Because I still don't understand.
So...
Try this. Take 3.
I might have to just leave. I'm going to have to put a bookmark down.
No.
I put the bookmark down.
I said no.
What are you doing?
Telling you what to do.
Boss me. I'm just kidding. Okay, sorry.
I'm definitely going to do that later. Anyways.
We've been talking too long. What time is
No,
this?
I haven't.
What time is this? Such your stomach?
Yeah.
I wonder if the mic picked it up.
That'd be hilarious.
That'd be great.
That's the chicken nugget call.
See, I told you, we just gotta get...
We got chicken nuggets from Butcher Box. The healthiest chicken nuggets you can probably get.
Yeah.
And
they're
so
delicious.
good. I
They're
miss
so
chicken nuggets.
good.
I feel like I have a moment of like just being a little kid.
Yeah, me too.
You know, every time we eat them.
Every time?
Pretty much.
Yeah, same.
And just like dipping them in the sauce.
The sauce.
I just also, for somebody that like hasn't had fast food pretty much for like 10 years.
Except for
more.
the Philippines.
Except for the Philippines.
That was lack of options.
Started off 2024,
Eating
first
McDonald's.
meal, fucking McDonald's.
Oh my God, it was.
No.
Yeah, we had to. We were hungover. There was nothing else, and it was the most delicious thing we could find.
There literally was nothing else. Though.
There was nothing else. Yeah.
Like, we're in Pagadian. There's literally nothing open besides that, and they had zero beef.
Yeah,
they
we
had no
didn't
beef
even.
because
We got a chicken
it's a freaking
sandwich.
island with no cows
Yep.
or barely any cows.
Isn't that wild? That shit blows my mind.
Yeah.
Dude, Pagadian's a whole different life.
Where were we? Pride would that lead to?
Chicken nuggets.
Basically, stop putting yourself out there if you want a healthy masculine man that's going to respect you.
Yeah. This is what also makes me think. Does that make them insecure because they're not comfortable with their woman being like taking these more provocative photos?
So it's a very simple question of where is it coming from, and then actually being truthful. So if it's from a place of fear for what that could result in as far as loss of love or like another man taking your girl, something of that nature, then it's obviously not from a healthy place.
Got it.
It's from somewhere unhealed.
Okay.
Not from a positive trait or aspect of a relationship, like respect and commitment and seeing your body as sacred and special. And I think there's probably some arguments even within the whole special thing, right?
Right.
'Cause
Right.
then there's a conversation about ego and but
The
like
pride.
then it's
Oh,
also
that's right.
demonizing the ego that literally makes us human, and I think
Yeah.
that opens up a whole other conversation where people just get dumber.
Yeah.
And I just dislike
I digress.
because usually that goes between a bunch of people that aren't going anywhere. They're all just trying to get somebody else to agree with them, not actually
Yeah.
from understanding.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's like almost all the debates online right now.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody just wants to be right. They don't want to understand.
I'm starting to hit my limit here.
Shit was getting dangerous. We cannot end it like that.
I know. I'm gonna keep going, but I'm just giving you. It's like a little reminder. Beep beep. I'm
Okay.
hitting.
Oh yeah, battery's dying, but
Yeah.
we got a little bit. Okay.
All right.
Where were we?
Respect.
She just keeps yelling out like respect, resentment, like whatever word she can remember, like first.
We wrapped up the conversation.
So all of that was to talk about sustaining the actual relationship and the attraction. Like that is a big part of this, is having our hormones balanced and our masculine and feminine balanced.
Yeah.
And if a woman is leading, then that is going to cause a hormonal imbalance, the sustainability of the attraction,
Yep.
and sexual health of the relationship, which then there's just a bunch of layers to it as far as respect and commitment.
Yeah.
And then trauma and healing, and that's why it's so freaking important.
Yeah.
It's so
And it's
important to
like-
lean into your healing and take responsibility for it.
Ooh, and then also if you don't respect your partner, is it possible to still respect yourself and continue to be in that relationship?
Ooh.
Because you have to
well-
know what it is to be able to give that to somebody.
Yeah, but there's layers to that too, because it can't be just about respect.
Right,
Then
because you
it's-
can respect other people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then there could be kids involved, right?
Right, oof,
There's
yeah.
the covenant of marriage. Is covenant the right word for that?
Covenant, yeah.
Okay, so there's things about like responsibilities, and then there's things about fear, right? Because
So
then
more
there's
like
scarcity,
obligations.
right? There's scarcity
Right.
of love, and so I can't walk away from this one because I'm afraid I might not be able to find another one. And so I'd rather have this love than no love.
Yep.
And so that's where a lot of people find themselves staying in something that isn't actually serving them.
Yeah. I want to commend us on how well we did this week, considering the many little frustrations that we experienced with each other. It was just like kind of consistent throughout the week, but we still have managed to get back to a place of love pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting
That's
so
so-
good at putting a pause in it.
Yeah.
Fuck,
So
we are
good.
getting so
That's
good.
so
Okay, it was
good.
not the case like that before.
No.
Before, we would argue it out until the point where Dylan's punching holes in the wall, or I'm fucking walking out of a moving car. Like, I don't know, like shit like that. Maybe I never walked out of a moving car, but I wanted to for sure.
I pulled
almost
over
did.
and walked home.
Oh yeah,
8
that's right.
miles.
And I fucking left your ass.
That's so real.
Oh my God.
I literally pulled over screaming, telling her to stop.
Yeah.
And got out and left and just
Yeah.
walked. And I was in those boots.
And it was
fucking
hot.
feet-
it was fucking hot.
Oh yeah, it was like 113 degrees out.
Said.
I'm in jeans, boots, and a thicker T-shirt. And
My thought was, okay, act out. We've had many moments where we're like, we're not gonna make it.
yeah.
But
but
what I
going
was
back
saying
and
is,
giving some recognition, because I think
Yeah.
we've been crushing that there.
we have been so good. Like even today, like I could tell we were starting to have some friction with the conversation,
Yeah.
and you spoke to me in a way that didn't feel good.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna put a pause, and I put my headphones in, and like you let me, like because typically
Yeah.
sometimes there's a bit more frustration when you're like,
Well, even before that, I had noticed and tried to take a pause, but it
Yeah.
didn't work.
Yeah.
I was like, give me a second. And then I said something else, and your response still kind of like annoyed me.
Yeah,
And
we've
it
kinda
didn't
just
work.
had-
But you seeing it as well, like.
yeah,
was-
respecting it
Yeah.
because you asked for it. And also, we've been so good at communicating when we like feel the frustration.
Yeah.
Like the other day, I was like apologizing because I'm like, I think it's because of lack of sleep and I've been working all day and da da da. And this would have helped me. And you didn't take it personally.
Yeah.
You just saw it as
just
like
learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think before you probably would have. You would have been a little bit more defensive.
I'm doing this
Right.
and this and this, like.
Right.
Like,
but now, like your response was so. Oh my God, his response was so good. I want to give you credit for it because
I don't even remember.
it was just that. Okay, I'm gonna get very detailed here. So we were having sex. We were about to have sex. Well, we were.
Oh, we're talking about this.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
So we were. Yeah. So we were having sex, basically. Yeah, we were. And mid sex, I'm like, kind of letting him know that I there's something off. Like I couldn't tell, but I don't think I was feeling it. But there was a part of me that's like, in my head, I kept saying like, I wish you would love me in another way. I think that's what was going on in my head because Dylan and I have both been working fucking long hours, right?
Yeah.
But this is where it goes back to hormones. Dylan, because he's a man and he operates well in more testosterone, it stimulates his testosterone. When he wants to make love and connect, he wants to have sex. And then, so for me, because I have been in my masculine energy, what it does is it actually causes me more stress. And so I don't want to be touched when I'm in my masculine like that. I'm disconnected from my feminine energy, my estrogen.
Yeah.
And so when he came home and wanted to have sex.
Can I just bring up how that kind of took place? So
Yeah.
that day, it was Tuesday, and I was having calls all day long, and I was feeling really good, like had a fucking amazing workout in the morning. So my testosterone was already high. And then she, twice in that day, brought me food down.
I forgot about that too.
Yes.
So I was caring for a lot of other things than myself.
She even texted me and was like, hey, like I'm gonna look at your schedule for eating windows and find when I can bring some time or some food down for you because you're so busy.
I literally put an alarm on to cook food so I can finish. I didn't tell you this?
No.
I was actually I'm gonna be the best fucking girlfriend today and like get my shit done. And I put an alarm on so I can make sure that I brought you food by 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, but I was doing that throughout the day.
That's great. Well, working her ass off.
Yeah.
Because we're getting ready to launch Happy Relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I just knew you were going to be in meetings all day and not have a chance. So I'm like, let me just make sure he's fed.
Yeah. So lucky. But that turned me on. So when I had a 15-minute break before my coaching call with Mariana, shout out to Mariana, I came up here and I was like feeling it, and I made a little slight move on you to just like send some energy.
Send the vibes.
And then went back downstairs and got on my coaching call. And I told you I'd be back up like 5:15. And like you had received it pretty well.
I did, but I was also distracted with work.
Yeah.
So I didn't really like take any of it seriously, nor was I even really processing it. I was just like, I'll deal with that later. And I went to my work.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You received it so well. You like took it for like the second and just like whatever.
If there's anything that men should know is that women, when we're like in our own world, we can absolutely like just be like, and like make you think that we're like 100% about it. Like, that is a key thing that we are skilled at this.
That's hilarious.
Okay? It's but it makes them feel good. It makes you feel good. Sometimes you make a joke that's not funny. I'm like, you're like, I'm so funny. I'm like, yes, you are.
Oh, babe, come on.
I'm kidding.
You laugh at me authentically much more than you do that.
I do. You are fucking hilarious.
I
Okay,
appreciate
so
that.
anyways, what we were saying is, while we were having,
saying.
what I was saying is while we were having sex, I'm telling him like, I think like I'm a little off.
Oh, hold on.
And so
I set an alarm on my phone too.
got it.
It
Okay.
literally said sex reminder. Because I was going to text you.
That's his alarm. Mine was go feed boyfriend. His was sex.
That's
Oh
so
my
great.
god! What the fuck?
And it went off during my meeting because it was to remind you to tell you to take your clothes off. And so I texted you and said, take your clothes off. And you responded K. And I thought you were just like probably like which you probably were. You're probably like wrapping up work or whatever, and just like sending that because you're not. That's not where your head is at all. He's like, cool, got you. I'll see you in a little bit.
Yep.
And they're like, still like, I'm okay. I guess I'm gonna do that. And then I come home and you're in bed naked.
I was, yeah. Okay, so this is where it becomes like the brutal truth
light,
and
know?
Just understanding on
Yeah.
myself, like my own self-discovery, because I was wanting to. I wanted to please him. Like all day I had just been in a more loving energy. I just wanted to just please you. And it brings me joy. And so, yeah, it was like, you know, I kind of want to, but I don't know, something feels off. I felt like I'm just exhausted, right? The last thing I wanted was to be sexually touched, and instead I wanted just like more help around the house or whatever. But I didn't realize that it was because I hadn't given any time to myself. Like I didn't become aware quick enough of how like stressed I had become and how I needed to take more care of myself. Like I didn't take enough breaks. I didn't balance myself out. I didn't ground myself. And what I think one of the mistakes I did was I was perceiving pursuit of God as part of my self-care. And it is part of my self-care and spirituality and whatnot, but there's
still goal oriented of
right.
building a relationship, and it's a thing that you're trying to do daily because it's a conscious effort. It's not allowing you to recharge your estrogen.
Yeah. And so I communicated that to him like basically mid-sex.
Yeah. Which, like,
yeah,
that was a new experience.
Yeah, that was new. But you know, at least we're honest. Yeah. See, but that's what's so cool about having open communication, because you handled that so well. I was nervous, right? Because I didn't want to disappoint him. Like I wanted to please him, but I didn't realize how unaware I was. And so as I was communicating it, it was literally me communicating it real time. Like I had just processed that information and then I expressed it to him, and I felt like I was nervous about his response. But you responded and you were just like, you were honest. You're like, oh, well, this is a little unfortunate because like now he has blue balls, but which I understood that too. But then you were just like, you just got up and then you
said okay.
Yeah, and then you came back and then we just had like a normal conversation. And
so
I
asked you if you want to cuddle for like 10 minutes before I leave.
Yeah. He asked me if I wanted to cuddle. Do you know how good that feels to like because he knows that's like the non-sexual touch is absolutely what stimulates our estrogen, our oxytocin. That's how we receive better love
and maintain and build attraction.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't about what I wanted. It was about realizing what she wanted.
Yeah.
And that there wasn't, like, she couldn't give me what I wanted at that moment, but I could give her what she wanted.
And there's a humility.
Realizing that, it was very clear that she didn't want to connect in that way, but she absolutely wanted to connect in a non-sexual way. And so I went to the bathroom, washed my hands, came back, and was like, okay, well, that's what needs to happen right now. So I could say so many things. I could guilt her like a lot of fucking men would, or say some sort of shit to manipulate her into just doing it anyways, which a lot of men do.
They fucking do. Yep. Or get super self-defensive and make it about themselves.
Or even just like act like they're upset to almost punish you in a way with some childish shit, which is unfortunately what a lot of women do as well.
Yep.
Not in the same scenario, but in different scenarios. But I think that
women do that for that scenario too.
That has been a learning experience for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was a version of me that would have ever done that, but I know that there was a version of me that would not have handled it as graciously at that speed.
Yeah, you processed it very quick, and I think, you were just the response was just perfect. And then the next day, he gave me my space. He let me take my me time and all that. I came in the morning, and then we were able to talk a little bit more about it, and me understanding that I was out of balance with my masculine and feminine energy, and I'm now understanding my threshold. And I think that that's why it's so important to learn about the different energies and what hormones that stimulates, because I know that, I'm able to shift a lot more quickly back into each state. I'm like, okay, I know yoga puts me in my estrogen. I know going out with my girlfriends and just talking puts me in my estrogen. Non-sexual touch raises that. Yeah, produces it.
Puts you in your feminine.
Yeah. And the same with you, like cave time. Men need cave time for your testosterone.
You've been so much more supportive of that.
Oh,
which like before would have
100%.
triggered that abandonment issue,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely,
and wound, that would have caused a problem, or like I would get annoyed because you didn't trust me. And I'm like, I'm showing up, I'm doing all the things, I haven't showed any red flags. Like, why don't you trust me? I just wanted so much for that trust. I would want to make plans to do something with the guys, or I was asked to go do something, and I would actually think about how you might respond.
And this is where we also had a major growth thing, because I actually remember starting to get irritated at your response, because it seemed like you were approaching me with an underlying, like, expecting it. But I was actually healing through it.
Yeah.
I was starting to get to this point where I'm like, no, just like go. And I genuinely wanted him to go and have fun. But because he was perceiving my past responses, he was actually responding more poorly to it. And then I was
delivering it poorly with like a, almost with an anticipation tone.
Yeah.
That's the transitionary period between unhealed behavior and a healed behavior, like well integrating. And if we didn't have that self-awareness, then I would continue to put that on you and speak that on you and be like, well, you always react this way, so that's why I hid it. That's why I didn't say it. Right. Or that's why I waited till the last minute.
Right. But I liked that we were able to communicate, and I was like, babe, I want you to know, like, I'm working through this right now, and I can't work through it and move past it if you don't give me the opportunity to experience it over and over. So I need you to go. I need you to go hang out with your guy friends and allow me to be in this position. Yeah, all of those things. So it's powerful when we can have that communication, and your patience with it, though. So like, because also understanding where I'm coming from and be like, okay, she's working through it. I'm seeing progress. That is confirming to me. So it's okay to move forward. Yeah.
So what's crazy is that this was around the time that I adopted the belief that it may not be my responsibility to heal her, but I absolutely can take responsibility for creating a safe space in order for her to heal. That was like when I started to like actually realize that and start to shift and work, truly putting in the work to hold space better and like not match your emotions and restrain, build my emotional restraint. Because that was being tested a lot during that time.
Yeah, I think both of us really have learned how to not match each other's emotions. We've been able to navigate that pretty good now.
I think over the last month and a half, I think I may have given you this recognition, but if not,
well, I just heard the whole, like, I didn't realize you knew how, like, easily I'm almost pushing you to go do your own thing.
Yeah, but I've been exhausted working really hard, and I haven't had the same capacity to handle conflict as well as like the standard that I truly hold for myself. And I honestly would just be like tired. I'm like, I know what the right response to this is, but I literally can't deal with this right now. And you would see it, like recognize it, and not fucking push it or anything. You would like, it was because before you would not give a shit. You're like, I still got things to say.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna fucking say them, and if you don't like it, tough shit. and that's where you really push a man.
Because
like,
I wanted to
he
be
has
heard.
his limits. Like eventually, I'm gonna fucking blow my top at some level. And even in the men that I know that are the most emotionally restrained, I admire how much they do or can do it. They also have a capacity.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But that's something that you also lately, you don't even allow it to get to that for me. Yeah. You're like, I see where this can go if I match him, so I'm not going to. I'm consciously making a choice to not do that. And I do the same for you now. And it's really cool.
Really cool.
So powerful.
Yeah.
If we could teach that.
We can, but it's a long
hard.
journey though.
Yeah, it's
a
hard.
long journey. It's gonna
So
take
hard.
practice. It's like you just have to learn.
That's where commitment comes in.
Yeah.
That's where
And
commitment
respect.
comes in. Yes. Which
Yeah.
I think is respect is required for commitment. But
Yeah.
at the top of that, like, if you're committed to really making it work with your partner, then and really only then can you make the leaps and bounds that we have.
And also to have the humility of it, right?
Yeah.
Because when you don't have that commitment, like you're always going to try and defend number one. It's you.
Yeah.
It's all about you.
Yeah.
Right? So I've seen people who have like arguments and she's fighting to be heard and seen, but he's fighting to protect himself. And so like he'll take a more defensive nature or like turn it about him, but take the actual problem away from that.
Which goes back to, again, the respect and commitment, because there's no world where I will ultimately put my emotions first. I would rather suppress mine or deal with mine later and protect yours.
Yeah. It's like almost like a natural thing when you do when you respect somebody, because I'm like, there were definitely moments where I could tell you were at your limit much closer than I was. And I'm like, okay, just for the sake of him and us and our relationship, again, the commitment, I'm going to put my ego aside. I don't have to win.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a thing I have to win.
And so this is where we've also gotten really good at this. The last time that it got intense was because we were both at our limits.
Yeah.
And because we were so pushing ourselves so hard.
Yeah.
That neither of us had the capacity to be the best version of ourselves in that moment.
And that's very difficult to communicate that you're at your limit when you're at your fucking limit.
Well, but this is where the increased levels of self-awareness are continuing to happen, because whenever that does happen, we have a huge leap. And we have so much growth that comes after that, and we actually don't experience the things that we used to again. Because
we're approaching it in a very conscious way with one another, right? Like Dylan, before, like this morning is a perfect example. Before we started, because I told him I wanted to connect, before we started having like actual conversation, he was like, just want to let you know I'm a little frustrated. I didn't get very good sleep or whatever it was. And so I'm a little irritable. So if it starts to, if somehow we get into a state, just know I'm kind of weary at this point. Right. So like, just be mindful of that. And I think when you approach it in that way, it helps me just understand better so I can make sure that the energy is right. I'm not pushing his buttons. Brings me back to the respect and commitment that I have for our relationship. And the communication of it itself sets the right container for us to continue to operate like that before we hit our limit.
Yeah.
Right? And it causes me to approach a little bit more, not cautiously, but just mindfully.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's something that
we both do it really well.
Yeah,
we're starting to communicate that really quickly.
But I think there was a time period where it was really important that I did that. Like, I had to learn to do that in a way that I needed to improve my communication.
Like when you would have kind of more quicker anger?
Like if I was in a low energetic state, I just the whole. It kind of started from when we tried it, but we didn't really continue to do it. Was like speaking your actual capacity and percentage. Oh yeah,
we did start trying to do that.
And I'm like, I don't know. This it's really like I have to think through this whole thing of like, where am I actually at?
You did bring that up to me.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I would rather just I'm about to talk through the entire thing in my head to then come to a fucking number to then communicate with you. I may as well just talk through it to you, but in a very condensed manner of like, hey, this is where I think I'm at right now. Just want to give you a heads up.
I think saying the percentage is the condensed manner if you think about it verbally.
Yeah.
But it takes less brain power.
It's not actually.
It's kind of like trying to figure out that 1700 is 1700 or 5 o'clock. It's like less. You know what I mean? Like it's 5 p.m. Like most people compute that easier. But when they
Yeah.
try to convert the numbers, it doesn't make sense. So if I try to convert my state into percentages, it doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
but
It requires way
the
more
only
brain
way
power.
the only way that your brain does translate it that quickly is through a lot of repetition.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, just communicating that up front has been fucking transformative for
Yeah.
us, really. Okay, I actually have, this is the last topic I actually want to talk about because I want to chill.
Oh yeah, it's time. This was productive.
Yeah,
It was
but
a
there's
really
one
good
question
conversation.
and it might stimulate a deeper like conversation, but I'm hoping we can hone it in.
Okay.
We'll see.
We'll see.
So there's this thing on TikTok that is kind of gone viral. It's called Bear versus Man. And I don't know if you heard of it. It's basically somebody asked the question, if you're stranded in the middle of the woods, who would you rather be stuck with, bear versus a man? And so many women in the comment section, I felt the freaking pain. They were like, I would choose a bear because the bear would at least like protect me if I was being taken from someone else. Or I would choose a bear because he's not going to tell me he loves me just to sleep with me. I would choose a bear because I could at least trust, like the comments on it are actually hurtful. Like I feel, not as in I'm offended, as in I feel the women's pain.
Did you save that?
Yeah, well, it's
That-
all over TikTok.
That's
I'll show it to you. It's insane, and it makes me, I'm like, this is why it's so vitally important that there is good men out there.
literally why I feel so called to work with men.
Okay, it
do
says,
this.
would you rather be alone in the woods with a man or a bear? And check out this comment section. Maybe
just
his comment
put it-
was, maybe what he says is,
Would you rather be alone in the woods with a man or a bear? This is a popular trend that's going around right now. And I have my choice, my decision on where I stand on this matter. And how I came to this decision, I'll read you right now some things, okay? These are comments. All of these are comments from women. The bear would see me as a human being. The bear wouldn't get me blacked out so I had no idea what I was doing. People won't ask me what I was wearing when the bear attacked me.
it's wild.
I won't have to see the bear at family reunions. The bear wouldn't apologize after and promise to never do it again. The bear wouldn't take videos and send it to his friends.
Yeah.
The bear would unalive the body, but the man would destroy and ruin my soul.
Sheesh.
The bear wouldn't clean me up and tell me not to tell mommy. The bear wouldn't say to trust him. It's just a game. The bear wouldn't try to do it again and try to find me.
Yeah, so just, it gets crazy. There's more.
It's only a little over a third of the way.
So it's just wild how, like, but I resonate to some degree, obviously, the pain
Yeah, oh yeah.
of, like, all of these
Obviously.
women who, I understand why we're hurt. Like, I understand why we have these trust issues against men, but the thing is, we can't continue to categorize all men under that because that's unfair and unjust, and it's not correct. It's not right. But
Yeah. So actually the response initially would be like, well, what type of man is it?
Yeah,
But-
but that's where the
but
power
that's-
of
yeah.
your men's group and everything that you're
100%,
stepping
yeah,
into is going to be so vitally important to begin to shift how we see men and like get back into a fucking healthy state again. Like, I mean, United States.
Yeah.
Because we're fucked up right now. And I'm like,
Won't go on that one. Not today.
but like,
please.
isn't it?
It just
Because,
that
okay,
shows where it is. It's on men.
Yeah.
It's on men.
Well-
Men have to step up. They absolutely have to step
And
up.
take responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, you
Because
don't have to take
we don't-
responsibility for every man who's caused every pain, but like own up to the shit.
But this is where empathy and like compassion comes in, because no fucking man has to worry about that shit. None of them have to worry about those same things.
Yeah.
Really, for the most part. Yeah, obviously stuff during childhood.
Yeah.
So in ways, but overall, like, especially as an adult woman, like, yes, when we were vulnerable as a boy, but a man needs to step up.
Yeah. No,
Awesome
but I
shit.
understand what you're saying. And it just brings me back to my own experience of like being exposed to actually healthy men as well.
Yeah.
Like even our friend group.
Yeah.
I had not experienced, like, honestly, even our friend group was the first time I ever experienced a male friendship that was not like geared towards wanting to sleep with me.
Yeah.
And like that's crazy, because I've gone years with that of not ever feeling that. So because I had seen that in my own experience, like men just wanting to take advantage, I had that same idea that that's how women would perceive men, and that there was no possibility for healthy friendships.
And that's because the men that do that are solely sexually driven are unconscious men.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not conscious, self-aware beings. They're like fucking just horny robots.
Robots. Yeah.
In that fashion.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's because of their own trauma.
Yeah.
And unhealed shit, along with lack of consciousness. And they just continue to like bleed on others because of their unhealed trauma.
It's a lack of respect for yourself as well.
Oh yeah.
But
Well, and I think that then goes to how those people are also far from God, or far from spiritual,
from their faith,
a spiritual practice
Yeah.
and beliefs of whatever.
yeah. Like if you don't even believe in karma, get the fuck away. Get away.
Get away.
Get away.
Oh yeah, I guess because I guess
Like if that's like the basic of spirituality, is someone believing in karma, that something out there will repay you for the amount of pain you cause, right? But if you don't
Yeah.
even believe in that,
that's true. I've never thought about that.
goodbye. You have no spirituality implanted in you whatsoever. You're unconscious. We can't have a conversation. That's scary to me.
Oh yeah.
That's terrifying.
It's so interesting. I didn't realize, like, karma itself, like that belief. It really, anybody who, whether they realize it or not, because a lot of people probably are like, yeah, I guess I do believe in karma. Like, it's not something they have like a deep thought of. It's not like one of their
That's basically
values.
God.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
believing that God or some energy out there.
Yeah,
it's
some
like the
some
intro
higher
to
power.
is gonna
like,
go and repay
this
that.
is gonna
yeah.
boomerang.
Yeah.
At some point. Right?
So that's like the intro to energy and
Yeah,
and,
oh, yeah.
and God and all of that. The very, very basics, but yeah.
Yeah. We can
Anyways.
go down a whole other rabbit
Yeah,
hole.
that's a whole other.
But I
different
think
concept.
this is the actual first version.
Yeah.
Or episode
of happy relationship. We went down a lot of holes. Yeah, just be entertained.
And maybe stimulated.
Yeah, and stimulated.
I know I am.
Hey. All right, that's the end.
There you
Okay,
go.
bye.
See ya.
Oh wait, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please follow, subscribe. I don't know which platform this is going to be in, but let us know in the comments if you liked our first episode.
Yeah, because this to me feels good, but we want to know what you guys like and want. Actually, you know what? Either way, we're gonna fucking do this. This was great. So
We'll have these
Tell us anyways, though, please.
Yeah. All right, so thank you for watching, and catch you on the next one of the Happy Relationship podcast.
Yeah.
Bye.